Hey everyone, so today my grandmother Darlene Connor, she was a teacher here at DC for a long time. She's retired now, but I'm sure most of y'all know her. She's going to be talking about why there is a Dallas Christian. I hope y'all enjoy.
Hi guys. This afternoon Rex and I were talking, and she was talking about school and about chapels and what they did for chapel, and I was telling her, I said, I think it would be nice if the kids really knew what Dallas Christian, what it came from and why it was created and the purpose of Dallas Christian. And she said, I did too. I think that'd be great, Darlene. Would you do a little video for me? And I said, sure. And then I began to think about it. I thought, shoot, what did I say I would do? But it would be good if you knew where your school and your alma mater came from. And it was started by some really sweet, wonderful people, some godly people, some servants of God, some normal, regular, everyday people that had regular jobs. They weren't wealthy. They didn't have anything extra in their lives. They just had a love for God, and they had a love for their children, and they wanted their children to be educated, surrounded by Christian people, and they wanted them to be taught in everything they did by in their English classes, in their math classes, in their science classes, in their Bible classes, in their social studies classes, their government classes, and their kindergarten classes, and they're learning to read, and they're learning to write, and they're learning to spell. They wanted their children to be taught about God in every aspect of their teaching. So these normal, everyday, average people got together, and they begin to create a charter for a Dallas Christian, which it was Pleasant Grove Christian back then. And I know some of you have heard about Pleasant Grove, but it's where Dallas Christian started. It was really special back then. There were a lot of precious people, godly people that wanted to make this school. In this school, they selected the best teachers they could get for the money. Didn't have very much money. They did their best every year to make ends meet. And we had things like typing, and that's like on a computer, but it was on a typewriter. And I know that when I took typing class, we had no typewriters. We used a piece of paper flat on the table and learned our keyboard by using that because we couldn't afford typewriters. We had things like, we only had a science lab my husband's senior year in high school, and because he pursued to be a dentist, and they never had a science lab until then, and all they had was a science table and a few beakers and a few experiments to do, and he still graduated as a dentist. We were poor, and we didn't have much money, and we had to do things like have spaghetti suppers. We had bake sales. We passed around the basket a lot of times. They did at PTO meetings so that they could have enough money to pay the teachers. But you can't say this, they always had the money to pay the teachers, and they always did. It wasn't a very good salary, but it was a salary. And those were the kind of dedicated, fine people that helped build Dallas Christian because they loved their children and they loved God. They loved the God, and then they loved their children. And that's what they wanted from Dallas Christian. Sometimes it seems like that we let worldly ways get in the way of why something was created and made. And sometimes we think, why chapel? Why would we go to chapel? It's so boring, and everybody does the same thing. And I know in the COVID, it's been tough. It's been real hard. I know Reese has talked about it, and missing being together, and missing having chapel, and singing together, and praying together, and being together. It's been tough. It's been tough, in all our world. But I know it's really been hard on y'all to not really get to be socially involved with each other as much as you have before. Because we know that God wants us to be involved with each other, because he says that we're the ones that are supposed to go into all the world and teach the gospel to every creature. And we know that that's what we're supposed to do. And so it's gotten in our way. And Satan has gotten in our way. And it's been something that has affected all of you. But the thing is that sometimes through our struggles and through the worst things, the best comes out of it. Sometimes the very best comes out of a struggle, and we're told that. I have a little story that I've always loved. It was one of our teachers she raised little chickens in her room. And those little chickens, the first one she ever had, I asked her one day, I said, did any of the chickens ever die? And she said, my very first one. I said, oh my goodness, how did you deal with that for the kids? And she said, I said, I wonder why he died. She said, I went to the farmer because I didn't want all our chickens, to die every time I started watching one hatch. And so he said, what happened when the chicken was hatching? And she said, it made a little hole, and I was trying to help it. So I kept pushing the egg back a little bit so that the little chicken could come out easier, because it seemed like he was having a really hard time coming out. And he said, that's what did it. And she said, what, me helping the chicken? He said, you didn't help that chicken. That little chick needed to keep pecking so he could be strong enough. So when he got out of that egg, he'd be okay. He'd be strong. And he would be able to function because he had to work at getting out of that egg. And what I'm saying to y'all is sometimes when our lives we've seen to have to struggle, that makes us better. It makes us work harder. It makes us know that what's important to us. And I hope that all of you realize that being a Christian and working for God is very important to you. And it means a whole lot. And the Dallas Christian was meant for that purpose. It was meant to make you not isolated from the world, but insulated, and that you have enough layers on you that when bad things come up or decisions you have to make, you can make the best decisions. You are strong enough to make the good decisions, and that you can do that and know that God is on your side, that God is there. Even though it's a struggle, God is with you, and God is making you better. So when you're thinking about what a bad year it's been, or how you haven't gotten to this and you haven't gotten to do that, think, you know what? Maybe there's a reason. Maybe there's that struggle that's in there for me. Maybe I need that struggle. And you think about, you know what? When I do get to live my normal life, which we call normal, I'll be better. I'll appreciate it more. I'll love people more. I'll say hi more to everybody. I'll say, I hope you have a good day. I'll say, I missed you. I'll give more hugs. I'll enjoy people, being around people more. So all I want you to know is that sometimes the struggle, whether it was starting Dallas Christian or keeping Dallas Christian, it's a struggle. But as long as we do God's will, it will happen and we will be there and God will take care of us.